We arrived at Rome now, and I can't even tell you how cool it is already. We've just got to the Colosseum here. It's very hot. We're literally dripping with sweat, but we can't wait to show you around. So here's Rome.
We're here at the Church of St. Peter in Chains, and it is one of the places that sort of speaks to why I've been so excited to come to Rome. It's been one of my bucket list places, not because of the amazing sights, even though there are loads of those, but because Rome used to be the centre of the world. It was where a lot of the early church, everything exploded from inside of Rome. And so this place here is interesting for that. There's two sort of interesting points about it. The first one, which everybody flocked to first when we went in, was Michelangelo's statue of Moses, which partners the statue of David that we saw so many replicas of in Florence. But the most interesting part for me personally was the relic here. According to legend, are chains that were used to bind St. Peter when he was imprisoned here in Rome. And there's something about whether or not those are literally the chains that we used. There's something about that connection between the early church then and being able to see that now that really drives home that this was, real people in a real space and time. So you'd be forgiven for missing it if you walk past, but if you can make the trip, it's interesting to see. One of the things I'll say immediately, about sort of wandering around Rome, is that you're surrounded by so much ancient history that is either being constantly excavated or constantly sort of worked on to keep up to date. You just feel like you've stepped into somewhere which is a clash of sort of eras, and it's amazing.
Right behind me is the Temple of Minerva, and it's still in amazing condition. It was built in between 85 and 95, and all the pillars and posts are still here, and the detail is just incredible. But in 1606, Pope Paul decided that he was going to demolish the whole thing so that he could use the marble to build with elsewhere around the city. So yeah, there's a montage running on top of those cool things.
We've made it over to Venice Square, which is supposedly one of the most busy places in the whole city, but it doesn't feel as busy. Maybe that's because we were in Venice not long ago. And the place is just magnificent. It's huge, dominated by two statues, one of Victor Emmanuel II, the first king of Italy, and another of the goddess Rome, modelled after some earlier statues of Minerva that they'd found around the city. And on the way over as well, we were just so overwhelmed by the scale of the buildings that we've just not seen anything like this before. Rome is definitely living up to our expectations so far. So, bonus fact about this place, I just overheard a tour guide saying that apparently when they were constructing the king on his horse, 20 guys had a dinner party inside the horse's belly because they had to have a break at some point. Column, which is obviously very Greek inspired up close, was quite interesting. There's so much detail, just all over the thing. I think it was Peter on top. He had keys. So sometimes that's Peter. Tom, do you know?
Apparently sometimes that's Peter because Jesus gave the keys to Peter to build the church upon, so we think it's Peter.
He's doing a Masters, you know. So today was about getting our bearings, scoping the place out, and then having an idea about what we wanted to see sort of for the next sort of 5 days while we're here. Let's call it 4 and a bit, because airports are a bit tricky come the end of the week. What we've seen so far has blown us away, but Rome wasn't built in a day, and it certainly isn't going to be conquered in a day by these two buffoons.
No.
So we're going to go home, make a bit more of an itinerary, and then we'll continue with our journey and adventures tomorrow, when in Rome. So we are back on day 2, and we are in the Colosseum. And actually, it was pretty pain-free getting in, wasn't it?
Yeah, we got off the bus and it was about 20 minutes from the bus. Queuing inside, get tickets, and now we're in. So short and sweet.
So the Colosseum, for ease of access, currently has our vote for being pretty good. It's definitely one of the better places we've gotten into before. So, in fact, we actually got in here. So we're going to just take some footage and we'll kind of show you guys around as we go. So obviously the Colosseum used to be a really popular place for public entertainment, and they would have, you know, people being pitted against wild animals for executions. There would be jugglers, magicians, plays reenacting ancient myths, gladiator combats, and there was mixed opinion between like intellectuals, politicians about what the actual purpose of the games were, and you know, whether or not they were just being used for sort of gaining public favour. And actually, just imagining this place full of people screaming and cheering at like whatever's going on, like games-wise, it must have been deafening the roars. Like, Tom, how many people do you think could fit in here?
A couple hundred or 1,000. No, but it's also a lot smaller than I thought it would be. I did read actually that where the top layer is, that went all the way around, but they stole a lot of the stuff, and it was then found at St. Paul's, I think it was, which is quite funny. They just keep stealing stuff from different places around the city to build extra places. So
yeah. So there's already sort of like, you can feel the history in this place. So we're gonna keep looking around. Also, for it being this early in the morning, like we're here at like just gone 9 o'clock, there's still a lot of people.
it's interesting that the stage itself used to cover the whole underground section, and the animals used to just run around and then jump up at any point and just maul the guys that were in there, which is insane.
It's hard to imagine what like the whole place would have looked like when the seating was kind of like this, all over the place.
So the ticket to the Colosseum also gives you entrance to the Palatine Gardens and Roman Forum, and so we've just arrived into the gardens now. The Colosseum was incredible, actually. I don't think we can portray it properly in the video, but definitely come if you get the chance. It's worth the queues and it's worth the money and worth the wait. Yeah, we'll show you around this area here. We don't know too much yet, so yeah, we'll just show you this place.
So, another interesting bit of church history stuff here. We're standing in front of the Arch of Titus, which on the inside has images of the victory, the Roman victory over Judea. It shows Roman soldiers taking treasures out of the Jerusalem temple, and it's kind of interesting. There's a giant menorah, which is a strange thing to find on a Roman arch.
one of the cool things is that as we're walking around, they're still doing archaeological digs and discovering stuff. It shows that there's just tons of stuff to carry on finding.
All the time.
All the time.
We're now in the area that it used to be where the palace was, and there's quite a lot of interesting stuff, you know, like images of griffins on the walls. We saw an area where there used to be a pool, and apparently the emperor at the time was so paranoid about people coming to attack him and try to assassinate him that he put marble all around the place that would reflect what was going on all around him, so he could see if anybody untoward was coming towards him, which is pretty intense. Thom's keeping himself hydrated.
It's so hot, I can't even explain it.
I guess you could say that this guy lost his head. This is where all the rich people used to live, so...
It's not very nice, is it? Pretty rough.
I don't think this guy would live there, though.
I wouldn't live there.
It's not very rich.
Not really.
When in Rome, do as the Romans would once have done and get the Herschel on a pillar head and drink some water out of a nice bottle, which is kind of what this essentially was, a nice bottle. According to this sign, this area here, after a fire, was turned into a storage for imperial goods, which I think, to me and Thom, says this place was basically a Tesco warehouse.
I think it was actually, that's a very good point. Also, the sign says a lot of probably and a lot of perhaps, so I'm not entirely sure the sign knows what it's talking about.
Plot twist.
Plot twist. It's the very impressive Temple of Artonius.
No, it's Antonius. You're thinking of role models.
May I present to you my vessel, Artonius?
I believe he was a masonry.
No,
No,
he is an emperor.
wrong again. So he empired those pillars to be up there.
No, it was because he died.
In memory of.
There you go.
There we go.
It's impressive, but
It's nice.
as it turns out, Thom would literally be the Andy Dwyer of tour guides for this place in Rome.
The White House, America's most whitest house. Most notably is where Sinbad lived in the film First Kid.
We just saw the spot where Caesar was apparently assassinated, and Thom wasn't very impressed.
It's just a pile of rocks, and turns out we can't give to Caesar what is Caesar's anymore.
I don't know what else we expected, really.
And also,
An old place.
it's definitely going to rain off in the distance there.
Yeah, he might be right. Has an angry-looking sky.
These people are the bane of my life. Seriously. You get out of somewhere really nice and then they just try and sell you stuff that you don't want. We have water and we don't have selfie sticks because we're not in the year 2000 anymore.
So we're in the Basilica of St. Mary Major at the moment. It is gorgeous. It's the biggest church dedicated to Mary in Rome. It's like around 100. There's a crypt here which apparently has a piece of wood that, according to legend, is from Jesus' crib. Again, whether or not that's true, but it's a beautiful building, so I'll show you around and sort of point out anything that's interesting. I mean, by this point you guys know the drill, so. So here we are with our pizza and our Coca-Cola. We're not entirely sure what it is, but it looks nice, so...
And it only cost €5 for all that, so that's pretty good.
That's pretty good. Before we clock in for the night, we're trying to find some paracetamol, which is just proven to be impossible, because apparently the only place that sells it is pharmacies, and apparently everybody in Italy needs to be in the pharmacies, so...
Just the world's biggest queue.
Got headaches that even a stick of the forehead stuff won't solve today.
Or a bottle of wine, but we haven't tried that, so we should probably.
Maybe that's like the next port of call, who knows. Quick update on the paracetamol front. We managed to get something called Moment Act, which is apparently headache tablets, and €9 for something that at home would have cost the best part of
50p, if that.
23p?
23p.
Maybe? I think. From the co-op, definitely 23p. They better work.
I better feel like I'm walking on rainbows for the rest of the year after having some of these.
What? So I'm just here on the little balcony outside the place where we're staying here in Rome, and I'm gonna edit up today's footage. Last check we were around about 16 minutes, so we're gonna upload, I think, probably at least two parts to this vlog. Tom's come out like a gangster.
Oh yeah.
We'll let you know, we'll give you a comprehensive review of
The
the
tablets.
Moment Act when
We
wake up and feel the benefit. Until then, sleep well, or live your day well. Carry on with all the good and not the bad.
See you in the morning.
Good night, everybody.